This one's for the ladies, for the ladies, for the ladies. Let's lock in. I feel like I needed to give this Women's Royal Rumble a standalone video because I enjoyed this one so much. And guess what? Charlotte won.
Again! You fucking idiots!
So much to talk about in this video. So much to talk about for this Royal Rumble, and I want to kind of give most of these women their just due. So we're going to go over all of the entrants. We're not going to talk about every entrance, but let's just get to it. Our first three. Love the first three that they started with, being Io Shirai, Io Sky. You know, I've been on a bit of this little, I don't know what it was that made me just decide to start looking into Io Sky, and something made me Google her. And from that, I found out that Io Sky has a sister named Mio Shirai. So there's Io Shirai and Mio Shirai, and they were like a tag team called the Shirais in Japan. I digress. It also further let me look into Julia, because I was wondering during this Royal Rumble, when Io and Julia saw one another, they had hands, like they had to get to it. And I enjoyed it. We're going to talk about that when we get to it. But I was like, what was the reason for that? Did they ever meet? I can't think of a time in which those two ever intermingled with one another. Like, when would they ever be on the same brands, cross paths, or etc.? So I looked into that. And from that, I saw that Julia was trained by Mio Shirai, Io's sister, who retired in 2015, 3 years before Io came to WWE, in which she took the name back as in representative for her sister, Mio Shirai, as Io Shirai. But somewhere along the lines, Vince said, F all that, you're Io Sky now. Go jump off of ropes and stuff like that. So, quick little history lesson. I don't know how I got there, but I got there, so I needed to share it with y'all. Top 3 women that they started with, even the top 5 women that they started with, I enjoyed. Now, let me talk about why I feel as though I enjoyed this Women's Royal Rumble a lot more than I did the Men's Royal Rumble. First thing off the top, these women were active. They were active throughout this Royal Rumble. Whereas in the Men's Royal Rumble, most of the time, dudes was sleeping. It got to a point where I'm like, man, are they going to start like a XXX is sleeping like they did Roman sleeping in 2015? Or was that only because they just didn't like Roman? I mean, people really be in there snoring. But in this Women's Royal Rumble, there was minimal amounts of that. Minimal amounts of that. Even when, and I noticed a bit of a pattern, more so in the Men's Rumble than in the Women's Rumble, when there's a countdown going on, everything in the ring just stops so that the people could get their entrance on. Then they wrestle for about 30 seconds. Then the countdown starts. Then they stop again. And then they wrestle in intervals of 30 to 40 seconds. And outside of that, when somebody's countdown is coming and when they're coming down to the ring, that's when they take their break. On the women's side of thing, they just keep going. They don't care. The only time that they stopped was when Charlotte was making her entrance. Outside of that, they didn't care who was coming. Either they was getting to it or they're on the floor. They're on the, they're laying down on the ring, but they're grappling. They're doing something to remain active. So that's another thing that I like. Well, that's the first thing that I liked that the women did over the men. The other thing that I like that the women did over the men, and this was beautifully done, they had factions in this Royal Rumble. So if you had a tag team partner or if you was in a faction, you stuck with your group, and it was up to the people that were kind of a lone wolf to try to figure out how to get rid of you, or how to split that group apart so that they could just get the upper hand for once. And that played throughout the entire Royal Rumble. It was either you were in a group, you were in a tag team, or you made an alliance. And they kind of mentioned that on commentary. And once they did, it's like, that's when I started to notice it. I'm like, it makes so much sense. For example, Chelsea Green. Now, she had to wait till 17 when Piper Niven came out. That was a bit of a wait for her. So before that, she had to kind of fend for herself. Same with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was, the second one just outside of Io Sky. And she had to wait all the way till 26 for her help to come. However, let's look at a Zoe Stark, who came out at number 8. Shayna Baszler came out at number 11. And then we had Sonya Deville at number 13. All kind of in there at the same time. Bianca Belair was at 10, and you have Naomi at 15. Again, another chance for them to partner up and they stay together just like the others stay together. There was also a little bit of something that I noticed between Piper Niven and Roxanne Perez. It seems like they were a bit attached at the hip once Chelsea Green was eliminated. It was as if Piper Niven just she didn't have her back. She wasn't helping her, but they just stayed together. Like when you're stalling out for time, it was always those two together. Just watch it back. You'll see like if somebody's late, if there's time for them to like powder or lay down or whatever and catch their breath, they were stuck together. When it was time to stall out, you would catch those two are usually doing the interacting with one another. So alliances were made or partnerships were made. Even if it was us two are scrapping or us two are going against each other, certain people stuck with certain people, just like Lyra Valkyria and what's the girl name? Ivy Nile. Those two stuck together. Bianca Belair and Naomi, they stuck together, but when Lash Legend and Jada Parker was in there, we kind of had Black History Month with them. They did it. And it was kind of funny when Chelsea Green jumped in there to try to be a part of. Oh, God. Chelsea Green. Yeah, it's kind of hard for people to win me over, especially a gimmick like what Chelsea Green has. But she is so good at what she does. Man, it hurts me to admit that Chelsea Green is as good as she is as just being entertaining. Everything that everybody is saying about her is correct, with the exception of the one video that I heard where somebody said she should be like the women's champion, like the women's world champion. No. Let's not go too far with making R-Truth the champion. We're not going to do that. She got the mid-card title for a mid-card act. Let's stay right there. But entertaining. Oh, let's keep the mic in its place. But entertaining nonetheless. I also want to say that I was thoroughly impressed by Roxanne Perez, surprisingly, because I know that she was, the one in NXT, but for me, never really believable because she's so small and, it's one-on-one, and I gotta believe that this little 4'8" girl is just unbeatable. I just couldn't buy into it. But seeing her in there with the main women, for some reason, this little girl stood out. I don't know if it's because she had the pink hair and the black and pink wrestling attire with Prodigy on her behind. I don't know if it was that, because certain things like that does make you stand out, even though it just looked like a rainbow in that ring because everybody was just in their own colors. But something about her stood out. And I could think of many things that it would be. For example, anytime somebody came down to the ring, she made sure she got into the mix with them. She made sure that she was always on that hard cam. She made sure she was always mixing it up with people. She was always doing something. Even when it was times where she had to take a bit of a break. Like I said a little bit earlier, she was with Piper Niven and they were doing something. She was always on the camera. And I'm under the impression Booker T told her, do not leave that camera. Booker T is the one that trained her before she came to NXT. And the girl just gets it. She gets it. She knows how to stand out. She did her thing. Thoroughly impressed by her. I feel as though Liv Morgan did very well, especially when when Raquel came. And seeing them two work as a team, I'm like, oh my God, this fits Liv so much. Maybe she isn't really meant to stand out as a singles, but in a tag team where you have a heavy and, she's like the Shawn Michaels, because they called I keep saying Roxanne. See, the woman's on my mind. Raquel. When you start calling Raquel, what'd they call her? Big Mommy Cool or something like that? It automatically makes you think of Diesel. And when you think of Diesel, you gotta think of Liv as Shawn Michaels. I mean, it kind of, you have to. When you think of Big Daddy Cool, you think of Shawn Michaels. So those are the rules. I don't make the rules. I'm sorry. But they worked very well together. And I'm just like, that's the thing that Liv needs to get over and stay over. Now, granted, maybe she could have had a really good singles run if she wasn't so tethered to Rhea, which I feel as though that was a huge waste of about 6 to 8 months. Huge waste for her. Didn't do her any favors. Io Sky, what can I say about her? They got to run back her being a champion. The girl is just super over. With everything she does, the crowd loves her. The crowd loves her moves, are always on point. By the way, I need to say this. There was, I don't want to say botches in this Royal Rumble, but a lot of not being in the right place at the right time, or not having the right amount of muscle to lift people up for certain sort of moves, and it looking a little, it was clunky. A lot of times in this Royal Rumble, the women were a bit clunky or they were out of place, and it would make things look a little weird. So that was a thing as well. Lyra Valkyria, she just so happened to be there. She had the wardrobe malfunction, which Wade Barrett wanted to bring so much attention to. So respect to that, I guess. Maybe. When Zoe Stark came out and she started getting her moves in, I could not help but think, if you could just switch Jey Uso with Zoe Stark, like give Jey Uso Zoe Stark's moveset, and give Zoe Stark Jey Uso's personality. No, let Jey, just give Jey Uso Zoe Stark's moveset, and you got like the perfect guy. As over as he is, just give him that moveset. This moveset that Zoe Stark is just being wasted on her. She is so good and boring at the same time. I don't know what it is about her. She's trying to get her personality over, but for some reason, it's just not translating. So let me give you an example. Michin is another one that is very, very good. Michin came out at number 20. Very, very good in the ring. I feel as though with the gimmick that they have her as like the street fighter type of girl, they're kind of holding her back on her ring work because she can work. And she's one that actually shows personality, but for some reason she cannot get over. Now, is her moveset as diverse as Zoe Stark? Not even close. But, it's just some people, for some reason, they can't connect with the crowd. I'll give you another example. Zelina Vega, trained by the Amazing Red. She has personality. The girl has a moveset. She can work. Can't get over to save her life. Cannot connect with the crowd. And to be honest with you, to be really, really, really honest with you, she's somebody that probably needs to be back with Andrade, because the both of them together were gold. The both of them together, they worked. Andrade was over because of Zelina. Zelina was over because of Andrade. And she was a really good heel. Maybe she needs to go back to being a heel so she could really get into her bag. Because all of these anime characters that she keeps coming out as, it's not really work. You know what? Again, this one's for the ladies. I want to make a video where I go over all the women and I'm going to fix every single one of them into how they could be over. But I'm going to digress on what I've been talking about because I feel like I'm not talking about the Rumble. Back to the Rumble. Sonya Deville, Shayna Blazer, Sonya Deville, and Zoe Stark. I'm sorry, we don't care. Now, let's talk about somebody that came out and got a huge pop, and we're going to save the big pop for a little later. But let's talk about somebody that got a nice, huge pop that surprised me, and that being Jordan's Grace. Holy, the way this woman transforms her body as often as she does, it's scary to me. Her weight control scares me because she could go from bulky to like really cut down to, you know what I mean? Like she goes from a bodybuilder look to like just a cut down feminine look. And like right now, the look that she has is like a WWE look. She looked completely different than she did in the Royal Rumble that she came in. I think it was like 2 years ago that she was in, or maybe it was last year. She looked completely different. When she came out, I was like, hold on, wait, if they didn't put her name on the screen, I would be sitting here looking at this like, who is this? But once she got in that ring, holy, doing a Death Valley driver to Piper's Niven has to be one of the craziest things you'd ever see. First, lifting her up, unassisted, lifting this woman up on her shoulders and getting her up. Now, she didn't lock the knees. She ain't locked them legs. You gotta lock the legs on a deadlift. Gotta lock the legs. Gotta lock the knees. But getting her up for that Death Valley driver and actually dunking her over, no problem. Ew. I popped. Holy, she got me, yo. She got me. And then she just went around just wrecking everything that was moving. I just like when she was in the Royal Rumble the other time she was in there, I'm a big fan of Jordan's Grace, and I can't wait to see what they do with her. She was amazing. Jada Parker, let's talk about Jada Parker. She came out at 16. She was in there for, I believe, the fourth least amount of time behind Maxine Dupree, Sonya Deville, and Nikki Bella. Unfortunately, Jada Parker did not get a lot of time. She was eliminated by Jordan Grace. But, she came in, she looked good, threw her butt at people, and, properly was eliminated. Jada Parker is somebody that still needs more work. Maybe she could use another move or four into her repertoire. But Jada Parker is all about presence, attitude. And by attitude, I don't mean like a bad attitude, but I mean, that's her thing that's going to help her stand out. She's kind of got, and I said this before, probably not on video, but I've said this before, that she reminds me of what Sasha's Ratchet could have turned out to be. And I'm talking about the Sasha's Ratchet days of NXT, back in her earlier days of NXT. It's like they took that, and instead of like having a crowd call Jada Parker Ratchet, they just gave her that attitude. So now she's just got to work on a few more moves. She is good at what she does, but she needs to be able to do more before she starts trying to celebrate to the crowd. And it's good that she celebrates to the crowd, because you have to connect to the crowd, so she's doing a good job with that. But she needs a little bit more than just throwing that ass on people. Hey, I ain't against her doing it. I rocks with it. You know what I'm saying? I fucks with it. You feel me? But in the ring, you got to do more. Bayley, we don't care. Not much that she did. B-Fab, you almost forgot that she was there. I mentioned Lyra Valkyria. Again, wardrobe malfunction, but outside of that and her little run-in with Ivy Nile, not much there. Natalya, she was just a body. Maxine Dupree. Let's talk about Maxine Dupree, who came out at number 14. When they started having Maxine wrestle, I was one of the very few that thought that she actually did pretty well. She did okay for, somebody that just wasn't really being groomed to be a wrestler. I felt it like she came in with athletic moves and she did things. I enjoyed that from Maxine. I would even have her do more of that, but I don't know if she's like afraid to get in the ring and have actual one-on-one matches. This bit of work that she did with Ivy Nile was great. She came in, she got a reaction, she gets in the ring, she gets the pop, and she just does her thing. She does her thing, and the suplexes that she gave, same as with Ivy Nile, you can tell that Ivy Nile is the one training her. And you could tell by the way they deliver their suplexes. Ever since I listened to the Taz podcast or the Taz show, back in the day when he had his show on radio, he would always talk about how to deliver a proper suplex. And he talks about the different aspects of the suplex, but the main part being the bridge and popping your hips and just, being on the balls of your feet. Not everybody delivers their suplexes the same way. Some people just throw them over. They don't properly bridge. But if you look at Ivy Nile and you look at Maxine Dupree, they do it the exact same way. It's kind of like you got to trust yourself when going into that bridge. And I may have to look back at Maxine Dupree before she got with Ivy Nile, like when she first started getting into the wrestling, just to see how she was doing it. But you can tell now she's really, really confident in what she's doing, as well as, again, Maxine Dupree, as well as Ivy Nile. Watching Ivy Nile, you could tell that she's learned from Gable. And it's got this Kurt-esque vibe to how she delivers her stuff. If I were to, oh God, I got to make this video just rebooking these women, because if I'm WWE, I would make Ivy Nile into Taz. I would make her into Taz. Dead ass, I would make her into Taz. Let's move along. Meechin did nothing. Oh, pop of the night. Oh, here it is. Holy, pop of the night comes from the Alexa Bliss. This pop was so crazy. I thought Austin was coming out. Y'all know me. I'm a hater. I don't be liking stuff. But dear God, I'm like, yo, whoa. I haven't heard something like that since Daniel Bryan. Like, the roof came off the plate. That was a pop if I've ever heard one. Jesus Christ, Like for Alexa Bliss. I can't believe how excited I was and am about this pop. Then she comes out with the paint and play on her jacket sleeves and Fiend Forever on the back. RLP Big Braid, man. Braid gone. Braid gone, man. He out of here, man. They put him in a casket and buried him, man. It's over for my guy Braid. But hey, man, people still be finding ways to keep it alive, bro. I mess with it. I rock with it heavy. And, you know, she came out and immediately just start punching people in the face. She went after the typical two people, which was Natalya and Bayley, you know, the two who she had her feuds with. And she kind of stuck to them for most of the Rumble, but definitely was glad to see her back. And you could tell she's been in the gym. She's definitely been in the gym, and she's in her normal form. So there isn't going to be much ring rust with her once she starts having her matches. I just wonder which brand she's going to go to be on. Also, another thing, looking at this Rumble, the problem that we had with the women's division on the main shows was that it was lacking star power. But with all of these women in the ring, you see that there is star power there. But there's something missing about knowing how to put them all together and work. So like, for example, Io Sky, we know she's a star. Liv Morgan, we know that she's a star when you put her in the right situations. She gets a reaction no matter what. Roxanne Perez is going to be a star if they treat her right. And Booker is going to make sure that they do. Lyra Valkyria is still trying to figure it out. She's still trying to connect with the audience. Maybe she needs to be a heel first and then be babyface. I think that she's a good babyface. She could work her ass off, but something is missing from her being able to connect with the crowd. Chelsea Green, star. Let's look at some more stars. Ivy Nile can be. Lash Legend, I personally don't know what it is, but she connects with the crowd. They love her. Bianca Belair, they've pulled back on her, but she's a star. Bayley, you know, she's always gonna be there. I don't have any hate with Bayley. I have no disdain with Bayley. She's just there for me. You know what I'm saying? She's just there. You feel me? Maxine Dupree, once they, you know, actually start putting her in front of the camera, I mess with it. Naomi's fell off. Let's keep it a whole thou wow. She's fell off. Ew, it's nasty, her fall off. Jada, well, let's leave the NXT women out of it. Piper Niven, that's another one. Once they turn her babyface, she's gonna be over like crazy. They just gotta use her. They keep getting into these ruts with Piper Niven where they just don't use her. And we know how good she can be based off of, you can take it back to the Mae Young Classic, and then you could look at when they was building her for the Bayley match. In the match that she had with Bayley, which stole the show, the girl is great. They just don't work. They don't put her out. They don't put her to work. Jordan's Grace is going to be a star. Alexa Bliss, another star. I'm leaving the NXT women out of it. Raquel, she can't connect with the audience, but you know, she's always going to be in there. You got Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax. You have women that are over, and it just feels like the women's division just feels like it's lacking. I don't know why, but in this Rumble, it felt like star after star after star after big name after big name after I want to see you go against you and you go against you and I want to see this matchup and this matchup, and they were giving them to us and it just made you want more. And I'm like, yo, they got it. What the women always seem to steal the show with these Royal Rumbles. They do it every year, but when it comes to them having matches, they can't pull it off. And I gotta blame booking on that because they're there. They're good. I want to talk about this funny spot a little bit. This is when Trish came out. Trish got a monster pop as well. She's always going to get that monster pop. Stephanie Vaquer, I think it is. It's not Vaquer, it's Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer, she got a reaction, which surprised me because I know that her and Julia was big for their feud and for their work before they came to NXT. I know that people love them big time. I'm just not, I personally am not familiar with her game. I know she looks gorgeous. How old? She's 31, so I can say that. She's gorgeous, but I'm just not personally familiar with her game. But man, she got a reaction, which popped me because Julia did not. And that surprised me because I knew more about Julia than I did Stephanie's Vaquer. But Trish came out and got a big reaction. And I bring that up because there was one spot. This was so funny to me. There was this one spot where Trish and Zelina Vega are trying to get one eliminated. Trish is trying to get Zelina Vega eliminated, right? Zelina Vega's on the outside, Trish is on the inside, and she's like punching at her arms and biting her arms and biting her hands, trying to get her out, right? Charlotte made her entrance. And Trish, when they done with her entrance, which took about 1:47 I timed it. Trust me, I did. Just her entrance. From the time her music started to the time she got in the ring, it took that long. But before her entrance started, Trish was trying to get her out. When Charlotte got in the ring, Trish is still trying to get her out, still biting her, still biting her hands or whatever. Now, here's the funny part. That's not the funny part. Even though that was 2 minutes, that's not the funny part. Julia came out, right? At 28, after Charlotte, which was 27. Nia came out at 29. Why is Trish still biting Zelina Vega's hands trying to get her out? They're in the same spot, doing the same thing for 2 entrances, 3 entrances, because Nia finally came down and just pulled her and got her out of it. Well, how long were they doing that for? I had to run that back. I ran that back about 3 times. Like, yo, why are they still doing this? That was funny. But yeah, Trish came out, got a good reaction. She did her thing when she came in. All these women did their thing. They stayed active, they stayed busy, and they got to the shits, and I enjoyed that about them. And for some reason, Nikki Bella got a reaction out of me until I realized that it was Nikki Bella and not Brie Bella. It didn't click on me. I didn't hear Brie, so I was happy I didn't have to hear that bullshit. But Nia Jax, when she entered, no reaction, but when she entered, and it's like she was walking up these stairs, yo, it's like a monster was coming out. Yo, she plays her part very well when she's motivated to do so. When Nia's enjoying, you could tell when Nia is putting her all into something, and you could tell when she just don't care. And for this Royal Rumble, you could tell she was really enjoying herself. And when she's enjoying herself, that's when she's at her best. So I enjoyed that. Now, people did not Charlotte came out and got a reaction. She took her time coming down to the ring, and when she got to the ring, she started putting boots to asses. But man, people did not like that Charlotte won. And I don't understand why. You knew she was going to. You knew she was going to. You don't have all these vignettes for somebody that is the caliber of who Charlotte is and then think that she's not going to win. Especially when everybody's already trying to figure out who she's going to wrestle at WrestleMania before the Royal Rumble even started. You know she's going to win. So why are you upset with the reaction? Not the reaction. Why are you upset with the result? Why? Why are you upset with the result? It makes perfect sense. Now, who are some others that I would have had win? You could have went with EO. Yeah, that pause right there was me looking at the rest of the list. Yeah, EO was the only other one that could have won. It's EO or Charlotte. I'm sorry. Why EO or Charlotte and why nobody else? Well, we just had Liv Morgan in the title run, and people don't want to see that again. Lyra Valkyria is the IC champion. Roxanne Perez, it's not time yet. Chelsea Green, no. And she's the US champion. B-Fab, absolutely not. Ivy Nile, no. Zoe Stark, no. Lash Legend, no. Bianca Belair, she's doing other stuff, no. Shayna's Blazer, absolutely not. Bailey, no. Sonya Deville, no. Maxine, come on. Naomi, Jada Parker, Piper Niven, Natalia, no. Jordan's Grace just got here. Michin, let's be real. Alexa Bliss, just returned. Come on, bro. Zelina, Candice LeRae, who you could hear mouse pissing on cotton. She zero reaction when she came out. Stephanie's for queer. I mean, she just got to NXT. She got some work to do. Trish, Raquel, Julia, Nia, who was just champion, Nikki Bella. The only other person who could have won this Royal Rumble was Io Sky. And that's because she's always going to be someone that you would like to see have another chance. But other than that, the women are either wrapped up doing stuff, other things, or they just don't qualify. So Charlotte's the obvious choice here. And I honestly feel as though people should have just prepared themselves for the inevitable because it was going to happen, whether you like it or not. However, that's all I got to say for this Royal Rumble. I hope you enjoyed my, guess we could call this a review of the Women's Royal Rumble. I was just very excited about watching it and about giving my thoughts on it. I hope you enjoyed as well. Give me your comments on what you think about this Women's Royal Rumble or anything that I said that may have got you to think a little bit outside of the box. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. This is a new channel, so make sure that we are looking at the right channel. This is not Wyzanow. This is Over the Top with Wiser, and I'm out of here.